What's up, future me? You from the past. This is one of the last times we're going to be driving the Model Y with full self-driving before we go on our 6-month trip. So it's going to be at least 6 months. Yeah, it's going to be 6 months until Christmas. Wow, it's kind of crazy to think about. Until we drive this thing again, leaving Andorra Apartments. It's our last time here, and we've got a unique situation that we're going to test out. So off camera, I've noticed that when you have an attachment on the hitch, in this case a cargo carrier, full self-driving tends to have some pretty aberrant behavior. It drives like it's being tailgated, which, as you can imagine, is not ideal. So right now we're about to go to Tsum Tsum Fresh Food in 1K Oaks, and we're going to drive on FSD there, and we'll see if the aberrant behavior with the cargo hitch is still happening. All right, slam it in the drive, pull out of here for the last time. It's crazy to say that, right? The last time I'll be driving out of these gates. Been here for 3 years, yo. 3 years. Oh no. My phone mount is misbehaving. Okay. Fix the phone mount. I'm still in manual right now, just creeping forward. All right. Going to full self-driving. So it knows that there's something behind it based on that. You see that little curve there? Those are the sensors of the ultrasonics telling it that there's something back there. We look back there in the rear mirror or the rear view camera, that's what it sees. So full self-driving in the Model Y operates entirely based off of vision. So, you know, this is a 2021 Model Y. It's manufactured in September of 2021, somewhere around there. So this still has what they call hardware 3 or AI 3. That's a previous generation of chip from what's in the current Model Ys being manufactured right now. And the current Model Ys being manufactured right now are also technically the Junipers, right? Model 3 Junipers. Okay, we're gonna pull up and stop here. I would say that the stopping there that we just experienced is a little more aggressive than I've been feeling recently. Also, this maneuvering here is a little more aggressive. Like, I felt that turn harder, which makes me think that it is driving faster, accelerating faster than it normally is. And for lack of a better explanation, I think it's still behaving like the oh, my wife calling. Hey, baby.
Hey, did you go too far?
What do you mean? I'm on the 101.
You're on the freeway already.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, because the bike just completely shifted, so I need to adjust it.
Okay, you need me to come back?
I might.
All right, hold on a second. I'll be back.
Okay. I'm across from the park.
Which park?
The one the Pleasant Valley where we go walking.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, babe. Love you.
Okay. Love you too.
Bye. Okay. Why the heck? So, I'm trying to figure out why my phone mount is behaving so poorly right now. But I mean, this is the weird paradox of it, is that the difference in how full self-driving behaves is so subtle, but for the most part it's still driving safely. It's still very much in control. You just feel like it's a little more aggressive. The ride's not as smooth. There's acceleration that's like meaner, for lack of a better term, and the stopping distance. Like, look at this, it's stopping. Whoa, 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 whoa. That stopping distance right there was too fast. And I think it's behaving that way because it thinks that there's a car behind it. It thinks that this cargo bag is a car. And look, we're tailgating the shit out of this Toyota Camry right now, which is not acceptable. Not acceptable behavior. That's not how full self-driving would drive normally. All right. Just had a little bit of a dust up with the e-bikes on the bike rack. I'm sure you could see it dead ahead of us on the Rivian. So there's the R1S. There's our home for the next 6 months. There's our transportations. Electric XP4s on the Rivian R1S. Fully kitted out for car camping, exploring, adventuring. And here I am in the Model Y, my last hurrah in the Model Y. Last full self-driving adventure. And yeah. Oh man, it's definitely like, it hits these curves harder, man. Like, full self-driving hits those curves harder, and you could just tell from the way it's accelerating, it's moving, it's a little more aggressive, and it's purely because of this bag back here. Like, the full self-driving software perceives this bag, and you can see the sensors in the visualization here. I'll expand the visualization. So this is a visualization of what the full self-driving is perceiving, how it's perceiving its world. And it has these little lines here which shows that it detects something behind it. Now, what I'm curious about is if this weird behavior, I'll call it an aberrant behavior because I think it's aberrant. I don't think this is the right way to drive, because I think that it drives a little more aggressively, and it drives a little too close to other cars, right? Like, I think this distance we have here is a healthy distance between us and that van. And when we're in full self-driving normally, it maintains distances like that, but you'll see pretty soon here there'll be some aberrant behavior where it's like getting a little too close to cars ahead of us. It's tailgating. It'll drive a little squirrely because it thinks it's being tailgated. It's perceiving our cargo hitch as being tailgated. And I wonder, because this vehicle, which was made in manufactured September of 2021, was among the last production runs of Model Ys that have the ultrasonic sensors. And this little lines here, those are ultrasonic sensors that the car normally uses for parking. And I think that it still inputs into FSD, even though the FSD software, for the most part, has now, for years, only been trained on vision. So there was a time when Teslas, really old Teslas, had radar in them, and they had ultrasonic sensors. And there was a time when both the ultrasonic sensors and the cameras that we see here were used for training. Whoa, why are we swerving a little bit? That was not cool. That was not cool. I don't know. FSD is starting to make me just a hair nervous here. And it's funny is that FSD has not made me nervous in many, many months. It's just when we're in this weird configuration with this. Because I remember this is how it was behaving the last time. Like this follow distance we have right here between us and this Honda. This is not the way FSD does it normally. And I think we're about to make an evasive maneuver right here. Like, watch, it's gonna try to like change lanes or something at some point. Because we went on a road trip. We went on a road trip with this bag, and this is how it was driving during that whole road trip. When we went to Seattle last year, using full self-driving, carrying a bunch of gear in this cargo hitch bag. Like, look at this. Why are we getting over? I mean, I guess you could argue we're in chill mode. So chill mode normally wants to stay in the lane. I'll take the phone down so you can see. We're going 64, we're at 64 miles an hour max. Yeah. And the only thing I can intuit is the reason it's doing that is because it thinks it can get away from this cargo bag that's behind us. It thinks that that's a car that's tailgating us. And as I was saying, this is one of the last Teslas with the ultrasonic sensors, and they stopped training full self-driving on the ultrasonic sensors, but I'm wondering if the ultrasonic sensors in this car that are showing up as those little red lines behind the car, if like a legacy code or legacy behavior that's in the full self-driving stack is what's telling it to drive that way. Because if we're going entirely based off of vision, why would the neural nets trained off of vision perceive this picture as a car and think that it can get away from that car? I think it's the ultrasonic sensors, and I'm just theorizing here. I think it's the ultrasonic sensors that are still in this legacy 2021 Model Y perceiving that as a car, and that input from the ultrasonic sensors going into the full self-driving is making it behave poorly. So, obviously I only have this one Tesla, this one Model Y, so I can't test this. I can't A/B this. But I do wonder if we were to put my cargo bag here into a Hardware 3 Model Y that doesn't have the ultrasonic sensors, would it still behave this way? And then if we could do an ABC test, if you get like a Hardware 4 Model Y, which has the more sophisticated AI chip, and put this bag there, how would that behave? And then a Hardware 4 Model Y with the front camera, which would be the Model Y Juniper, how would that behave? But it's weird because now we're at the max, we're cruising at the max, 64 miles an hour, and we don't have a lot of cars ahead of us, right? So it's behaving like normal. Like, it seems to start doing those squirrely maneuvers, those squirrely, like, weird lane changes and stuff, and tailgating if we are below the max speed and the car is close to us, where it just has a tighter follow distance than I would normally experience if this bag was not behind us. Which is a very weird, very specific, right? Very specific time. So, I don't know. Guys. I don't know. Why are we changing lanes here? I mean, maybe that's my fault. I'm not telling it to drive slow and granny enough. All right, cut back to 55, cut back to 57. Still going a little bit faster than this truck with a trailer. Yeah, I mean, this could also just be in my head. It could be psychological. It could be me misjudging it, thinking that it's doing this. But I swear, I've really, really felt it on the freeway on-ramp. On the freeway on-ramp, that was like much harsher maneuver that I've been used to in the past year, really. The past year with full self-driving 12.x. Yeah, see, parking sensors may be obstructed, clean sensors, or ensure proper installation. And honestly, guys, there was a point at which this got so bad that I had to turn full self-driving off and go back to Legacy Autopilot. Because Legacy Autopilot is far less sophisticated than full self-driving. In fact, in the second half of this drive, I'll turn Legacy Autopilot on so I could show you guys, any of the guys who are watching this, who are not Tesla people, because I do have some followers who are not Tesla people, might be curious about how this technology works. But you pull up your this is the menu for the vehicle right here, right? And you got your controls, you got your dynamics, right? You can adjust how the car drives. You can adjust your acceleration profile, chill to standard, right? I always stay in chill because I'm not the sort of person who likes going really fast. I don't really see much of like I don't get that big of a kick out of going fast, right? And then you got steering weight, like light, heavy, kind of affects the steering dimensions. I don't know why I'm talking you through this, but the point that matters is here, autopilot. So you got the autopilot features, traffic aware cruise control, auto steer, full self-driving. So where you set this depends on when you turn on the driver assist here, how sophisticated the software is. So traffic aware cruise control means that the vehicle will accelerate and brake with the traffic ahead of you, but you're still going to be responsible for actually steering the wheel. So you don't need to mess with the computer is going to do all the accelerating and braking for you, but you're still maneuvering. Auto steer is basically Legacy Autopilot. Now I call it Legacy Autopilot because it's an old software stack. So Tesla has been working on Autopilot in one way or another since all the way back in 2014. And I think they started working on full self-driving, which was a different software stack from Autopilot, or AKA Auto Steer, right? In 2019. And I believe they started rolling out the full self-driving software to beta testers starting in middle or late 2020. Or maybe it was middle 2021. Maybe. I'm not sure. But long story short, the auto steer software, which auto steer, what a lot of people call autopilot, runs off of a software stack that is primarily based on coding. So like Tesla engineers like hard coded this. So the auto steer, when we're driving, behaves a lot more like a robot. It behaves very robotic. It stays 100% centered in the lane. Its reaction time to vehicles coming into your lane and stuff is very mechanical, and it feels like you're very much on the rails, like you're on a train. Whereas full self-driving feels like normal driving, like a human driver. And it's because where auto steer was based off of rules that programmers coded in, so there are a lot of weird situations where auto steer does not react to. Full self-driving is based off of regression and artificial intelligence and neural nets. And it's all nothing but nets all the way down, right? And full self-driving is something that Tesla started developing in 2019. I believe auto steer they started developing in 2014. So when you go to auto steer, which I can't toggle this while we're in drive, I'd have to be in park to toggle this. When you go into auto steer, you're running a software that hasn't been updated in like 6 years. Whereas full self-driving, which is trained by artificial intelligence, neural nets, all those buzzwords, is being updated all the time. Though at this point, I think it's been a couple months since the last time we got an update from Tesla for the full self-driving software. Like, what version are we on? Let's see. Look at the software. Version 12.6.4, full self-driving. We've been on full self-driving 12.6.4 probably since April, honestly. It's been a while, man. Been a while, and I think it's because the full self-driving teams, and this is where that, oh God, why are we going so fast? What the fuck? Jesus, man. This is not chill at all. Not chill, not chill. Not chill. Yeah, this is an example of where it's driving like full self-driving is driving like a fucking shithead. Like, it never does stuff like that. Like, that whole maneuver that we were just went through right now, I mean, ultimately it handled it, but I did not like it. And I had to take over right there because it was about to counter steer for Reasons I don't know. I don't know why it was about to counter steer right there. And the only explanation I can think of is because we've got this hitch, this cargo hitch rack, and it thinks that cargo hitch rack is a car that's tailgating it, and it's trying to evade it. And yeah. So there are a lot of situations when we're on the highway where it drives fairly normally, but as we saw there, once we got into a city, I turned it back on. Let's see what happens here. Is it going to take this turn like a normal, good full self-driving? Or, I mean, like, we exited that off-ramp going way too fast, and counter-steered sometimes where it didn't make sense to counter-steer. We didn't immediately commit to the appropriate lane for where we were trying to exit, for the left turn we were trying to make. There's just a lot of stuff there that I don't know. It sounds weird when I talk about it right now. Like, it sounds like I might be like nitpicking like some kind of whatever. But when you contrast the normal full self-driving experience when we don't have this cargo bag to when having this cargo bag right now, it's so different. And it's so alarming. It's so alarming. And I hope that translates in the camera. And anyone who's watching this, anyone else who is a full self-driving user, beta tester, I'd really, really like to know if you've experienced this while you're using like attachments and stuff. Because it's freaking weird, man. But yeah. Now we're at Fresh Bros Pizza, Tsum Tsum Fresh Mediterranean, La La Land. That's a new spot. Never been there before. Yo, this lady's just walking everywhere. All right, I guess it's my turn to take a left. Let's do it. Oh, ew. Express 10-minute parking. What the fudge? That's not what I want. You can tell immediately we're in a higher rent area of California based on like Audis and shit flying around. I personally don't understand anyone who will buy an Audi. It's like, dang, if you're spending that kind of money on a car, why the hell wouldn't you get a Tesla? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like you're paying extra for a worse experience to destroy the environment. Like, that's what I think these days when I see like BMWs, Audis, really expensive Volkswagens. It's like, yo, there's someone who clearly could have afforded to buy an electric car because that's more expensive than an electric car, but you chose not to. You chose to get a fancy ICE car that's going to cost more in gas, cost more in maintenance, be less convenient, and is going to ruin the environment. The only upside I could think of for buying a Mercedes-Benz instead of buying a Tesla or a Rivian, or even like a Hyundai Ioniq, is that you purposely want to destroy the environment because you hate the environment. Like, on all accounts, it costs more, it's less convenient, it requires more maintenance, it's less safe. Why would you do it? I don't get it. Anyways, so I'm back. Clearly I've done quite a bit of driving. Had to go some places. Still on the last day with the Model Y here, but I think you'll notice that the animation here in the perception of the car's software perception is a little bit different. It's a little scarcer, and that's because we have gone here to Autopilot and we switched to auto steer from full self-driving supervised. So right now, if I were to engage the driver assist function like so, you'll see the animation also looks different. I got these two lines here instead of the single line in the center. That's how you can tell that you're in Legacy Autopilot rather than full self-driving. And Legacy Autopilot still works on city streets, and it will auto steer to a certain extent, but it doesn't really stop for stoplights or stop signs or anything like that. Or if it does, it does so on such a short notice that I don't really feel like testing it. It's been a very long time since I've really used Autopilot, to be completely honest, probably like 3+ years outside of these special events when I have the cargo bag in the back, because really I need to switch to Autopilot when the cargo bag is here, because for whatever reason Autopilot continues to work as well as it normally does, behaves exactly the same way, whereas full self-driving, as I already mentioned earlier in this video, when you've got this cargo here, full self-driving starts to drive squirrely and weird. But Autopilot, like we'll see here, is it going to stop here for the stop sign? Nope, takes over immediately. See that functionality there, stopping at stop signs, engaging at stoplights and stuff, that is beyond the capability of Autopilot, which in many ways is understandable. I mean, they stopped doing software development, as far as I understand. Brand new Model Y Juniper right there. Sweet red color too. They stopped doing further software development and updates for stock Autopilot, I think, but all the way back in 2019. I'm not 100% sure, but I think once they started working on full self-driving, which full self-driving, as I said, is run by neural nets, whereas Autopilot is a rules-based software, or I think the term is heuristics. I don't know. Someone like Dr. Know-It-All, you know, could speak with far more proficiency than I can. I'm a layperson when it comes to a lot of this AI stuff. I'm just repeating back my experiences, having driven 90,000 miles using full self-driving, 100,000 miles in the Model Y overall in the past 3.5 years or so, 3 years and 9 months. But yeah, it's curvature assist, and we'll see what happens here as we get to this. Okay, so obviously we won't know the counterfactual, but I believe that if we were here at this red light and there was no car ahead of us, Autopilot would have failed to stop at this red light, because that's just, you know, the feature set that Autopilot have. Autopilot is really meant to be used on the highway. But one thing you'll notice, or at least I hope you guys in the camera can notice, I 100% feel it, is that Autopilot at least has a consistent Autopilot gonna make this left turn? Nope, wants me to take over. See? Making turns on surface streets is beyond the capabilities of Autopilot. But you can still turn it on here, where it basically works like Autopilot is basically a very, very, very smart cruise control. It's like a very, very smart cruise control. On city streets, it has a lot more limitations. On the highway, it's like dialed, and it's really great. Here we did a little bit of a zigzag, had a hard time figuring out which lane was which. That's something that full self-driving would be a lot smarter about knowing, would be a lot smoother. It's really difficult to like put the finger exactly on what the full differences are between this Legacy Autopilot stack and the full self-driving. It's just something that you can kind of feel and kind of intuit once you've used them both quite a lot. And full self-driving is like light years ahead, just like how full self-driving here in the Model Y is light years ahead of the highway assist that's in the Rivian device. The Rivian device has a program in it that only works on large interstate highways that have been pre-mapped, that is somewhat comparable to this Autopilot product here. And even on the highways, it sometimes has like places where it hits into blackouts and all this other stuff. But you know, it's serviceable and is satisfying to use, and I predict it will be satisfying to use for doing cross-country road trips, you know, long periods of time on large interstate highways, Where I'm really gonna miss full self-driving though is when we get off the highway like we are now, and in these like small narrow canyon roads and stuff. It's where full self-driving is just amazing. But you know, right now we're cruising on autopilot. It's behaving properly, behaving well. You can tell it to change lanes, it changes lanes. And autopilot really, it feels like you're on the rails. It feels like a computer is driving. A computer drives very mechanically, stays dead center in the lane, doesn't really make too many adjustments. It doesn't try to like nudge away from a large Peterbilt if you got a monster semi-truck right next to you. That's stuff that full self-driving does. And it also doesn't like intuitively change lanes or, you know, try to sort through traffic in any other way. Where autopilot's, you know, relative lack of intelligence really starts to show in a highway setting is when you're in the slow lane and you've got traffic merging in. It's decision-making processes about when to speed up, when to slow down for like, here you are and here's a lane and then you got a car coming in, you know, when to slow down, let that car get ahead of you, when to speed up, let that car get behind you. It's not really good. Oh, yep, there you go. See, you can't handle unprotected stop signs like that. Like if there was a car ahead of us, it would be able to make that stop. But that goes to show what the limitations of Legacy Autopilot is and why Tesla has not continued developing this. Because if Tesla wanted to continue developing this autopilot, it would be a forever game of whack-a-mole and hideously expensive, as engineers would have to sort through like mountains and mountains of code to create so many if-then scenarios for the code to be programmed, because this was programmed by humans. Whereas full self-driving is neural nets, artificial intelligence, figured out through like regression, all dialed in on a GPU. You know, like they trained it on a GPU on in a massive monster computer simulation, you know, in a supercomputer, in a way that is eerily similar to how human brains work. So now we're on autopilot. The autopilot visualization here on the highway does resemble full self-driving a little bit more. We got the line here because we're in navigate on autopilot, right? But you'll see like autopilot isn't behaving like squirrely. It doesn't think that it's got a monkey on its back. It's got like another car breathing on its behind. So it's just driving in a relaxed setting, not really trying to go anywhere. And that's ultimately why I switch back to autopilot when I have the cargo basket on the hitch, you know. For little road trips like this, look like Cal Fire out there. Yeah. Another funny thing that you know you're an autopilot is if you got these settings where you can kind of tell the car what follow distance to get. And you can kind of see it right here. You got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dial it all the way out to 7, just like you can reduce your speed here. So right now I got my max speed set to 65, a long follow distance. Let's see. Switch lanes. Instructed to switch lanes. Yeah. There's not much else to say beyond that. Honestly. Anyways, I think that's ultimately what I wanted to show you guys in this video. Aberrant FSD behavior caused by hitch cargo rack. Somewhat solved by regressing into autopilot. another difference between autopilot and full self-driving. Autopilot still has the steering wheel nag. It still asks you from time to time to jiggle the wheel so that it knows that you're still awake, still paying attention. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. It's cool though. So you can see I got a max of 65, going 57, and autopilot feels no impunction to crowd around that. There's a steering wheel nag, right? If we were in full self-driving, it would just be tracking my eyes. Wouldn't have to do that. But it's not gating up to that van ahead of us the same way full self-driving was. If we were in full self-driving right now, we would be doing some kind of like weird evasive maneuvers because of this guy right here. So, I mean, that's about it for what I wanted to point out to you guys. I'm curious if anyone else watching this who's got full self-driving has encountered this same scenario, if they've had this experience, if they've been able to defeat this this drawback at all, or if they've had to roll with it or whatever else. Feel free to comment below, tell me what your stories are, and if you enjoyed this content, if you thought this was interesting and I pointed out something new, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm not going to have that much more Tesla Autopilot and full self-driving content, not for the next 6 or 7 months. Probably do a little bit of commentary here and there as we watch the robotaxi roll out, and when we get to Austin in December, I'll probably take a robotaxi ride, or maybe I'll take a robotaxi ride if they roll out the robotaxis in another city that I decide to visit between now and December. That would be really exciting. But for the most part, other than some stuff that I recorded, some Reacts content that I reported earlier, not going to be that much new stuff coming out on my channel about the Model Y and about full self-driving, because this is going to be in storage. Well, not in storage, but it's going to be at my parents' house. My parents are going to be using this. It wouldn't surprise me if they drive this thing like once a month or something to go to Las Vegas or whatever else, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's about it for now. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. West Coast.